is going on, everybody? Welcome back to an all-new episode of TAETRO Talks. Thank you for joining me today. Yes, I know we're a little late, but that's okay. Welcome to the show regardless. It looks like you're all excited for today's interview in chat. As you know, we're live every Tuesday, either doing interviews or with guests, people from the music industry. We've had fellow YouTubers like Sanjay C, Neon Vines, Rachel K. Collier, people that are really killing it out there as electronic musicians, doing what I do and more. And then we've got people that make the instruments too. We've had people from Artifon, we've had people from Sensel, we've had folks from Bitwig on here. And today we're going to lean a little bit into the marketing, the music, marketing music for commercial kind of side of things, which is interesting because in our last track review stream, one submission was actually a community member making music for an ad, which I think is probably of interest to a lot of you who are looking to build a career in music. So I think this is going to be a very, very helpful interview for a lot of you because our guest has a lot of knowledge in that area. But before we get into the interview, first of all, I'll say hello to everybody in chat. What's going on, Ray Calvin? Oh, my mom and dad are in the chat. That's perfect. Rhoda Wren, Bo Tyler. Mateo's in the chat. Hello, Mateo and Lucky Bamba. We like that. Mr. G, shout out to all my members. Diana Fernandez. Burger King. The Burger King himself is in the chat. Amazing. Nefertiti, Marin, Babakar. Hello. Thank you all for joining us today. We're live not only on my channel, but on the 343 Labs channel as well. If you don't know, 343 Labs is an electronic music school based in Berlin, New York, and online. So if you're struggling with music production, synthesis and sound design, anything from like music theory, mixing and mastering, 343 Labs is the place for you to level up your skills. Check out 343labs.com and the courses. But of course, we love sharing knowledge way more than we love selling courses. So if you want to check out some of the content at youtube.com/343labs, it's all taught by 343 Labs instructors, super knowledgeable people. John Selway, Justin Beck, Abe Duque, and more. And 343 will continue next week with even more content. So you don't even have to spend money on a course. You can just watch a live stream. But 343labs.com, if you do want to take it seriously, take a course, go in deep with our amazing instructors. Hello, George, Tom, Nathan, XMN, MX, James Murley. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. And Sammy Messiah is here as well. Hello. As usual, if you have questions, like for our guests in the chat, go ahead and put them there. And if they make sense, if we can work them into the conversation, I'm happy to do that as well. This stream will be available later for watching, and we will eventually post it onto the podcast feed, which if you didn't know, TAETRO Radio on any podcast platform you want to check out. But yes, here we go. Why don't we get into our interview today? Like I said, our guest has a storied career in making music for some of the biggest brands, Nike, Google, Adidas, and is now also sharing some of the secrets of that world with the community, doing things like courses and teaching fellow musicians like us how to generate an income doing this kind of work in music and doing music for brands and commercials, things like that. So without further ado, I must welcome Tommy Zee. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, brother? Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Like, I know that little intro I gave only scratches the surface. So do you want to give a little bit of a, like when people ask you what you do, what do you tell them in your own words?
Well, I like to say that my work is moving human beings.
I like that.
I think that cuts to the core of really why I became a musician and why many people become musicians. We want to create something that will actually express things that words cannot express. And that's why so many people are drawn to music. I mean, even if you look at today, you know, it's kind of hard to make a living as a musician, but you still see like millions of people around the world buying gear.
Yep.
Right? Like expensive gear, like because they love to create sounds that move them. And so that's the first stage. And then later on, as you get better and better at your craft, you hope that you can create something that will move other people in ways that words can't. And so that's my work, moving humans. And but the practical side of it, like when people ask me, what do I do? I found a way to make a living with music that really fit my personal scenario, which is like at some point in my life, I realized that I'm probably not going to be an artist that's touring, that's being a star on stage. And I was also a DJ in Toronto, holding down like big residencies. And I had a day job at the same time. And I was
All of
living
it.
two lives. And I was like, you know what I mean? I don't really know how to reconcile these two worlds. I was never really quite confident that I could make a full-time living from music. So I held on to like a safe job and then DJing at night. And it wasn't until I discovered the world that I'm in, that I've been a part of for 15 years, that I realized I don't have to be a star on stage. I don't have to look for radio play. I don't have to look for record deals. I don't have to sell my music. I don't have to stream it. I don't have to, be on a stinky tour bus with people to make a living with music. There is a world where musicians you've never heard of are actually sitting in their studios all day, and they're being commissioned to create music. And I discovered that it's big brands that actually mostly make use of freelance musicians to have music made, whether it's songs, scores, or sounds for their big brand campaigns. I didn't know this, like many musicians don't know how this world works. I don't know what they think, but there's a lot of misconceptions. I mean, now that we've had a chance to teach other musicians our craft, we realize like how many misconceptions there are about our business. And the biggest misconception is that brands look in music banks or stock libraries for music. That's just not the case.
Right.
That's just not the case. And I'm happy to go into like what the process is. I'm happy to give your listeners and viewers whatever value, like whatever they want to know. I'm here to answer your questions, guys. I'm not just here to give you monologues.
Perfect.
I want you to walk away from this with your eyes open to new possibilities.
That's what it's all about. And it's really liberating. Even everything you just said is like, I do think a lot of people have that notion of like, to make money in music, you have to be this big Billboard charting artist, and that's basically the only way. Or you have to be a session player, or you have to play or you have to go be a teacher. Like, these are the only ways. And there's this whole other world, and it's the world you're involved in, that people are getting paid and getting paid good money to make music every day. And people might not even realize that they're hearing that music a lot of the time. If you hear in a commercial, like sometimes I listen to a commercial though, and I'm like, whoa, that commercial has dope music, and it just kind of is there, and it's equally as valid as anything else we listen to. I'm curious though, what bridged the gap between that world that you described? You were doing a lot of things, like including DJing, like having a residency. Like, what bridged the gap? What was the door that opened that was like, I could do this. I could make music for brands.
So as we teach people in our academy, everything that is best in your life will happen because of other people.
One door, the door's open, right? That's what I keep hearing. The door's open. Because, every guest I have on, they talk about this. It's like you meet one person, a door opens, and that leads to meeting 5 other people, and then another door opens.
The doors don't open by themselves, right? I mean, you can kick a door open, but if there's no one inside, I mean, not much is going to happen.
For sure.
So just like with a lot of people, I was friends with another DJ Storm. Shout out to DJ Storm, Toronto, Canada, whose day job was actually working he was working at a big advertising agency called McCann, which is a huge ad agency all over the world, which works with big brands. And he said to me, hey, the way it started actually is he said to me, do you want to DJ Xbox, like a launch event for Xbox? I said, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I DJ'd that. And then after that, it was like, okay, well, I've heard you're getting into like music production now. And I'm like, I am. Do you want to try your hand at making music for a Pontiac Aztec commercial?
Whoa.
Yeah, you remember that car, man?
That's a huge first little gig there.
Yeah, but I always say like it's the ugliest car in the world, but I didn't mind. It was my first shot. I actually was quite naive. I had no idea how the process works, so I was just happy to do it, and I would have been happy to do it for free, to be honest. So basically, they gave me like a description of the track that they want. We went in the studio. I spent 2 nights in the studio doing this track because I was still working my day job. They said, yeah, we like what we hear, but there's a few changes the client wants. I spent another night in the studio doing the changes. And then that was it. I kind of went back to my corporate gig. I was working as a banker on Bay Street in Toronto. That was my first life. The second life, like going to my residencies Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday. And a few weeks later, I got the paycheck. And that's when my life, that's when I knew that's the path I'm going to take. The reason why is because I realized that this is not just like a once in a while kind of paycheck that happens when you're trying to pursue all the traditional ways of making a living with music. So you're hoping for that record deal. You're hoping for that licensing deal. You know what I mean? It's like these home runs that like you can't really pin down.
It's like a lottery. You're just like fingers crossed.
It's like a lottery.
Yeah.
Exactly. But here I realized, damn, this is a whole machinery happening. Like they're doing like hundreds of these campaigns, you know, all these brands all around the world. So like it was just like a flash of it was like a eureka moment. And I said, if this is what they're paying musicians for each and every commercial, then this is definitely a lot more of a predictable path that I can try to break into than everything else, which is like, will I get the record deal? Would I get the licensing deal? Even then, like there started to be the proliferation of like all these, you know, MP3 downloading platforms. So people saw the writing on the wall. Like, it's not going to be much longer that you're going to be able to ask people to pay you pennies for your singles when they can have it for free. Like, why would they even bother, right? So for a number of reasons, I said, this is what I'm willing to double down on. I'm willing to take that risk. And that's when my journey began. And actually, you know, there's a lot more of a roller coaster after I decided to do this. That wasn't all happy endings and good news before I actually managed to gain some success. And I'm happy to talk about that. But
sure.
Actually, wherever you want me to go, I'm willing to go.
Because I'm curious, because you had a super stable job in addition to your like DJ gig. And then you find this new thing that seems really exciting and seems like it ignited a huge passion. And I'm wondering about the transition period. Like, how long did it take you to actually like leave that super stable job? And what was that experience like? I'm sure it was like a little bit scary, maybe a little bit of a leap of faith. So I'm curious about that.
Yeah. So I actually got very like overexcited about this opportunity. And I'm an easily excitable person. I think like a lot of musicians, I'm a Gemini. I work with my instinct, impulse. I'm a fast thinker. I'm a fast talker. And so I made my decision fairly quickly. And I think that was part of the problem, is that I thought like before I even knew a lot about the business, I decided to like invest thousands of dollars with a graphic designer to like create a company. I'm going to create a whole company that specializes in making music for ads after having done one ad. And I had a studio with a partner at the time, and we were paying thousands of dollars for this studio space. And all these like, I just went like head first into the thing. And I quit my job not too long later trying to pursue this thing. And I think that's where the problem started, is like I didn't have a really good understanding of the business and of the workflow and of the processes and of the people. So I took it for granted that the reason why this job came so easy to me is because my friend gave it to me. But then my friend left the ad agency. He now works at Sportsnet, I believe, which is a major like sports broadcaster in Canada. He's a marketing manager there. So no more gigs were coming from him. And I, in my kind of naive understanding or lack thereof of the business, I started emailing and trying to get in touch with ad agencies, like the ones he worked for, saying, hey, I'm a music composer. I did this Pontiac Aztek commercial. Happy to work with you guys, blah, blah, blah. But like nobody was getting back to me. And I was like, what's going on, right? And I was actually quite fearful of having to beg for my job back, go back to my corporate career. But I didn't really understand why I'm not getting traction. And it wasn't until a friend of mine said, I have a friend who works at an ad agency, like another one. Meet with them and like sit down with them, and they'll maybe try to diagnose what's going on. Yeah. And that's when I learned, like he told me I was doing everything wrong. He said, we as ad agencies, we don't work with individual composers. We don't work with individual musicians. So the fact that you got this job was a fluke, like because your friend gave it to you. Right. And that happens 2, 3, 5% of the time. But most of the time, we actually work with dedicated music production companies that specialize in making music for ads. And I'm like, what? So that kind of stuff exists? Like,
yeah, it's like, does that even like? I think a lot of people probably don't know that that even exists.
dude, you're in LA, right?
Yeah, it's like a mecca for that stuff.
There's like 15 music production companies that only exist for the purpose of making music for commercials in LA alone, probably more than 15. And when you walk into one of those, and I promise you, this is a good idea for you, just to check it out.
Yeah.
I can introduce you to some people in LA actually, so you can have a coffee with them, just to like see the vibe. When you walk in, you'll be like, "What is this furniture? What are these high ceilings? Like, what are these consoles? Like, you guys doing albums here or what?" And they'll be like, "No." "You guys doing some major artists?" Maybe once a year." "So what are you guys doing here?" "Commercials." Nothing but commercials.
All day commercials.
So, all day. So this is when my eyes were like wide open, because I realized if these music production companies are making like 20K on average per campaign, and some of them are doing a campaign a day, do the math.
Right.
Right? I mean, it's a real business, and it's not a 6-figure business, it's a 7-figure business.
Insane.
So that's when I realized, okay, this is a real industry. This is a big business. But the thing I needed to switch up, and this is what we teach people now, is, when you find out about it, a lot of you guys are going to get excited. But the biggest mistake you can make is be a newbie like me and start like hitting up all these important people in the business and kind of wasting your chance for a great first impression.
Right.
Because you basically, even if your music is great, you kind of betray yourself as somebody who's fresh. And people don't want to really take risks on people who are fresh. But the good news is, like, if your music is really great, you don't have to betray the fact that you're fresh.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can kind of bluff your way in as long as your music is really great. But you have to kind of understand how the process works, how the people work. So at least you don't make rookie mistakes about asking the wrong questions or like reaching out to the wrong people, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm happy to elaborate on whatever people are listening to this want to hear, or give you specific pieces of advice for sure.
I'm going to say hello to a couple more people in the chat. Beisha, Keshav, and Ed Talenti. What's going on, Ed? Thanks for tuning in.
What's going on, brother?
He says, the homie Tommy on TAETRO's channel. Sick. Yes, here we are. Dope. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I think what's most valuable, because there was a question that came in the chat, like, where do you submit your music to get to these brands? But I think to weave that into your story, like, how did you course correct? What was the course of action there? Because obviously, like, the cold emailing wasn't working, and then you got a little bit of a peek behind the curtain and be like, no, there are these trailer houses, these scoring houses that just do commercial work all day. So what was the course correction? Where did you go from there? Because you have a big successful career, so clearly you didn't go back to the day job.
No, luckily I haven't had a day job in 15 years, and hopefully that will be the case for the rest of my life.
Yes.
But the course correction was, first of all, understanding who I need to contact. And that's what was explained to me, that I need to contact music producers at music production companies. And just to correct you a little bit there, trailer houses are very different from music production companies.
Oh, okay. Educate me. Let me know.
So here you go. Like, sync is different, trailer houses are different, and music production companies called music houses in our business are 3 different things.
Woo.
So sync does, they mostly specialize in finding existing songs and licensing them to TV shows, to games, maybe to commercials. Trailer houses exist solely for the purpose of creating trailers for films. And then music production companies exist solely to create original songs, scores, and sounds for big brand campaigns.
Got it. And these are all different organizations, which is insane.
Right.
But that's actually a good thing, because these are all different now avenues that you can generate income with music. If you want to work in music, here's 3 options in this world.
You got it.
So it seems like you had to go one rung lower. Like you were reaching out to the ad. Oh yeah, it's like autofocusing.
There you go.
There we go. It seems like you were originally reaching out directly to the ad agency, but you had to go one step lower and now start contacting these like music production.
That's right.
spots.
And that made all the wow, I'm really out of focus.
But
I told you this might happen.
But we get to look at all the cool gear.
Yeah, you get to look at the gear. Look,
Yeah, look when you move, it goes
show
in
you the
focus.
gear.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that made all the difference because once I started meeting with music producers and actually showing them my music, they were looking for. They're always on the lookout for freelance musicians who create original music. So I got a bunch of meetings with a bunch of different music production companies, and then one of them said, "Hey, you're a really great talker. You're probably going to be able to build good connections with ad agencies. Why don't you come and join us, and you can be one of our music producers?" And that's basically how my career started. Long story short.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then from there, you're just working on commercial work, like with these music producers, these organizations, and just building up I guess what would you call it, like a backlog of like, oh, I did more Pontiac Aztec commercials, basically.
Yeah, I started working as a music producer at a music production company, basically, and trying to get more projects. And I was responsible for basically working with freelance musicians to deliver music to the commercials. And that's how my journey began. And after a bit of a stint with this music production company in Toronto, I met a girl in Europe. I ended up moving to Europe, ended up working at Massive Music as a creative director. This is one of the biggest music production companies in the world. And then after 5 years at Massive in Amsterdam, I decided to open my own music production company, and here I am.
That's amazing. So like, it's so funny because you trace it back to the original. That's kind of what you, as soon as you quit your job, what you were planning to do, but you really weren't able to do that until, more recently. Like there were so many steps in between. And I think that's an important lesson because a lot of people are like new to music production or like just getting into it and then put the cart before the horse but I think it's also a matter of like a lot of people don't know this. It's the same thing as you and you were like, okay, I'm going to do this and now I'm going to contact all these ad agencies. But there's such a mystified element to the whole industry that it's just not transparent at all.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And nobody's talking about our business. And this is why I thought it was a good idea to actually, start teaching people about this very specific art and craft of creating music for commercials. And it's been going really well. We have a really large demand. We have over 600 people all around the world. And a lot of our students are actually starting to get projects with big brands now.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
Nefertiti Gold in the chat. What's the process like now to work with a music production company? Is it like sending an application with a Dropbox of samples? Like what does it look like now for some musicians that maybe have some tunes and they're interested in working? Like what is the usual approach?
So what I recommend is that you have a website, a very simple website with a 90-second reel. And I want you to create a reel that will have music that sounds like it could be in a commercial.
Sure.
So you need to do some research. You need to basically research like Super Bowl ads. There's a website called adsoftheworld.com where you can check out what brands are doing. You can go to music production companies like Massive Music and Butter Music in LA and TommyZee.co, which is my website.
Linked in the description, by the way.
Yeah, you can check our reel and see what's going on and then go, okay, what do I have like this on my hard drive? What do I have like that is a song or a score that could very well, it sounds like it could be on a commercial. And then I want you to put together a short reel, 90 seconds, and I want you to do research about these music production companies. And I want you to share this short reel with music producers at these music production companies. And you can start with me.
Nice. Yeah, because Tom Adams put, how do we find music production companies looking for freelance musicians? I think it's just Google, right? And you also just rattled off a few. I think it's digging into the world.
So our students have an unfair advantage because we give them an updated directory. There's like 400 music production companies that specialize in ads. And so they get that. But you can Google, you can search advertising awards. And once you go through some advertising award shows, you'll see in the credits the music production companies. So that's also a good idea to find those.
That's such a genius thing too. I always look, because I find the same thing like in my journey, there's always like how you think the industry works, and then there's like how it actually works. And there's so many things you can do to kind of peel back behind the curtain. And that thing you just said about, oh, go to the advertising awards and like peek behind the curtain there. Like that's almost like a roundabout way to find it, but it makes so much sense. Like that's the way to find the information.
Check Clio's, check One Show, sorry, check LIA, London International Awards, check Cannes. Check marketing awards and check the list of winners. Then you'll see the music production companies there. I mean, I'm giving you now like inside secrets.
Super smart
like,
tips. Yes.
If you Google this music production companies, you might find some, you might not, but this is like a way that that I would do it. And what you want to make sure of is that you don't, because a lot of musicians contact me, you guys are sending me like 25 links. No one in our business is going to check 25 links. So this is why I'm saying short reel, put it together, 90 seconds, you know, like short, impactful, get my attention quickly. And yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's such a solid tip. I wonder, I'm thinking about the process and like, if for people working at these music production companies, is it like you're sitting at your desk and you get the Google ad today and you're going to score that Google ad? Or is it very collaborative and it's like, okay, you're running the Google ad, but you wrote some parts and now you got to go get the guitar player to play on it, or you got to go get the whatever? Like what is the process like?
So from my vantage point, I'm a music producer. So I'm like a chef. And I have to assemble a team of freelance musicians who I will reach out to, who I believe will be right for the job. So I have like a roster of them. And basically I know, okay, if I'm working on a Google campaign that needs urban, I might reach out to Ed Talenti. I might reach out to Nick TAETRO. I might reach out to 3 other guys, get demos from them, and then present the 5 demos to the client.
Yep.
And then the client's going to pick the demos which they like. And now I'm going to say, okay, Nick, actually your demo won. So now we're going to revise it until it's finished and you're going to get the big bucks and everybody else is going to get a demo fee for their effort.
Cool.
That's essentially how the process works in short, in a nutshell.
That's cool. Like I'm interested in the business side too. Like you're saying people who submit demos, sometimes they even get a demo fee just for like submitting and going through that process.
Yeah. So with the demo fee, it's more like established composers.
Right.
If you're new and you're breaking into the business, it's a good idea to tell me like, hey, you know what? I'm willing to demo for free.
Yeah.
Because we've never worked together. And then if you send me gold, if you send me magic, I might like keep you on my radar. And eventually after 2-3 projects go, you know what? I'm actually going to commission you for a demo fee now. So it's mostly established composers that get a demo fee. For every given job, a music producer will probably like commission 5, 6, 7 demos.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think that's a cool little insider tip too. Like for folks, a lot of folks, I think most people listening to this are probably new or haven't even participated in this process before. But if you have fire stuff and you go in and say, I'm gonna produce for you for no demo fee, maybe until we get a placement or something like that. Like I think that's a dope approach because you know you don't have a lot of risk on your part and you get this producer that hopefully is gonna make something fire. And if they do, it pays off in the end.
Absolutely.
That's very, very cool. I'm curious about like how like maybe some of the more exciting projects that you've worked on, bigger brands. Doesn't even have to be a big brand, but do you have like a favorite project or a favorite set of projects that you've worked on?
There's probably a few, you know, some of the favorites that I've had recently are the ones where the students from our academy are actually nailing the briefs and are the winners and they're actually beating out pros.
That's so crazy.
One of the, yeah, I mean, I didn't even expect this, you know, when we started the academy, but I can give you a few examples. We had one project where we had to score a short film for the country of Qatar. Like I've never had a country as a client. Okay. But they had like this important day called National Independence Day. And so they shot this animated film that was like 4 minutes long. And we received this project as a production company. And I said, you know what? Why don't I share this brief with our students also, in addition to reaching out to pros? And so a bunch of people sent in demos. And one of the demos that was sent in by one of the students actually won.
Wow.
And so next thing you know, this student went from never having scored a commercial before or like a big project to having his demo re-recorded by the Qatar Philharmonic Orchestra.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I've had a lot of huge projects in my career with big brands, but it's these projects that bring me a lot of like fulfillment and satisfaction, because essentially we're hooking up people who have the talent. They just don't have the knowledge, the insight, or like the connect in
Right.
order to get their first shot in the business. So that's just one of the stories, but we have many more. I mean, we had one of our students, Mateo, who is now one of my music producers, and he's actually helping me with big productions. And he visited me recently in Warsaw. We went to an award show where he basically watched his music being played in an amphitheater with people cheering
Wow.
for a big brand campaign. And then another one of our students, Fiona, who wrote a song for Durex, for a Durex campaign, which also won one of the biggest awards during this advertising award show. And so, and this happened like last week. And so, these are like my favorite stories. It's, I've produced like 1,000 campaigns already for the biggest brands. So I was looking for a way to reinvent myself. I wasn't having any more fun doing another Nike commercial or doing another Reebok commercial. Some people might go, oh, that's bullshit. Why would you not have fun doing those things? You're not in my shoes. Like, if you do 1,000 of these things, at some point you're like, well, I'm not really learning anymore. I'm not really feeling inspired.
You're not growing.
Am I going to do it? Yeah, I'm going to do it because it's good money. But I wanted to express myself in different ways. And the Academy was one of those things that I decided to do as a project. And I'm telling you, it feels a lot more exciting to me to be able to tell you about success stories of like musicians who are total outsiders 1 minute, and next minute they can hardly believe that their work is actually getting awarded.
Right.
In some award show. So
It's-
I have a lot more stories like this, by the way. I mean, I can keep going, but I don't want to like.
It's super inspiring for sure, and I totally resonate with you're focusing on like your impact, right? Like, and then you kind of plateau at a certain success level, but then you're like, no, I don't want to plateau. I want to keep going. So what is the next step? Okay, how do I share this with people? Because you talked about at the beginning moving people, and you talked about that through the lens of music, and now it's like you're moving people in terms of like their achievement, like in terms of like what they can achieve as musicians, like you're moving people up through
totally
their
got it,
career.
man.
So that's
When we talk about our mission, that's what we always come back to when we talk to people. Like, I mean, let me see if I have my business card here. Can I give you my business card?
pass it right through the screen. Yes.
Yeah, man. Check this out. So this is our company, Tommy Zee and Co.
Fancy.
And this is what's written on our card.
I will also say you can make music on the website with that logo.
Yeah, you can actually go to our website, tommyzee.co, and you can use the Ztar or whatever.
The Ztar, I like that.
You can call it whatever you want. You can make your own music on it. My work is moving humans. Our work is moving humans. So you were totally right. Right now, we're trying to create a 360 Academy Audio Lab. So Audio Lab is our music production company, and the Academy is the Academy. We're trying to create like eduployment platform. So it's not just like selling an online course, but it's like, yeah, go through the masterclass because we need you to be like a soldier ready for battle.
Right.
So you don't embarrass us out there, in the battle. But once you go through the masterclass, we handpick certain people in whom we see potential. They already know what the business is about because it's like we spent 40 hours teaching them. And then we don't just want to give them like a damn certificate, which is good for nothing. I don't care what kind of certificate you have. I don't care if you graduated from Berkeley. It doesn't mean much in our business. What we want to do is let us give you a meaningful test of your musical skills. Like, put your skills against real life opportunities. So that's what we're working on now, creating that 360 where we have the Academy, we have the production company, and we're basically trying to bring the production opportunities with the right students and then create a bunch of really happy ending stories,
Yeah. I want to dive more into like the business and that side of things, but do you want to just shout out the links for the Academy so people can go check it out? I'm sure it's perking a lot of people's interest.
Yeah, sure. The link is anthemacademy.co, or you can go to makingmusicforbrands.co. It will take you to the same page where you can actually sign up for a free training. And even in that free training, you will already get like really valuable information about our business, because we basically cover everything there at a macro level.
Yeah.
And you get a chance to enroll in the masterclass at a discount, because, and this is, but I'm saying this because we're about to change that. We're about to like make it application only. So if you're listening to this, this is like one of your last chances to actually enroll before we shut down access.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say that, because right now is summertime and we're thinking of actually rejigging our approach, because we went all the way from charging $250 at a pre-sale for this masterclass to realizing that this is actually a $2,000 product. We never charged $2,000, but like our students told us, like we've taken other classes and like what you're doing is like, I was totally naive because it was like my first online thing. Right. And I came from like music production. So we're rejigging our approach. I think we're going to make it by application only. But you still have a chance to get in now. We also have a pro group. You can apply to our pro group. That's more of a community thing where we actually invite producers, creative people, musicians who are making a full-time living from music. You get to connect with them on live calls. And I wanted to mention one more thing. I wrote to myself here that tomorrow I'm actually doing a kind of like a live call like this.
Cool. And
it's for my email list. So if you guys actually sign up to the webinar today, even if you don't check out the webinar, I'm going to send out another reminder tomorrow for the live call. So tomorrow night you can basically join me. And I hope I'm not screwing with your plans, TAETRO. I hope you don't have anything planned for tomorrow, because I'm not trying to step on your toes here. But yeah, we're going to be doing a live call where I'm just answering your questions. So if you're not able to ask, for instance, a question today, just joining us at the live call tomorrow. If you sign up to my email list tomorrow, you'll get another reminder. You can show up there and I'll be answering questions for as long as it takes. So
perfect.
That's where we're at, man. And, we're, how to put this? We're not here to just make a quick buck. Like, we're not desperate for...
Right, and it showed through your testimonials that you just kind of like talked about. Like and I like the 360 approach. You're educating people, but it's a clear pathway to a career. Like, it's not educating people for the sake of educating people. It's educating them so they can hopefully build something.
We want to get you your first project. Yeah. Cut out all the nonsense, man. It's not about information. It's about get your first project. And in order to do that, there's like 7 steps you got to follow. And that's what our masterclass basically follows, like a 7-step approach. And if you actually are diligent and you follow the 7 steps, guess what? At the end of the 7th step, you'll be contacting people in the business. You'll have a website that you've built because we showed you how, step by step, even if you never built one. You will have a reel that's impactful that you'll get feedback on. So before you actually share it with the industry, wondering, is it going to work? You're going to share it with us who are industry people. We're going to tell you your reel is not good enough. You got to change this, this, and this. So that's what it's about. At the end of the day, if I was going through something like this, I would want to have a result and not just another course.
Not just another certificate. Exactly.
Sorry, I don't want to swear,
it's
but
fine.
Honestly, the only certificate you should worry about is goosebumps on other people's skin when your music comes through the speaker.
For sure. Yeah. And it's a lot too, like I feel for everybody out there, because there's a lot of skill building to be done. Like, some people might not be ready for the academy yet because they're still building the music compositional skills, their music whole foundation. So and for people out there, like, if it sounds like a lot, it's because like it is a lot. And you've heard Tommy talk about like his years and years in the industry and years making music. There is a lot going into it. Yeah, it is for sure a marathon, and you have to approach it that way. And I think about the beginning of your story when you're talking about I had this job and then I was doing a residency and then I got this gig. So I was doing that at the nights. Like, you have to have this drive and ambition to keep going and keep growing too. Growing as a musician, being like, a lot of what you talk about is quite entrepreneurial too. So like, that's a huge role.
You have to get in a different mindset. Like, to be a full-time musician requires just a completely different set of patience, perseverance, communication skills, things that, like, honestly, schools don't teach you.
Yep.
I don't have any musical training whatsoever, and I've worked on some of the biggest brands, like brand campaigns in the world. It's really not about your, like I said, certificates or even knowledge. It's about what you're able to do. And creating music is just half of it. Connecting with industry people is another important half. You got to learn how to do this. So these are skills that I think are critical to teach. And, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And for everybody asking, Tommy's website the link is in the description, but can you say the link for the Academy one more time so people have it, and then we'll add it to like a pinned comment or something later.
Sure. Makingmusicforbrands.com. That's the easiest.
So easy to remember. Makingmusicforbrands.com.
Yeah. And
Perfect.
you can even see, like, on that page, you will see some success stories of our students. And not like you'll see testimonials, but you'll actually see the work.
Right.
Like the commercials that they've scored. And it's always a first. So It's not like they've been scoring commercials, then they joined us, and then they scored some more. No, it's like that was their first gig. And this is the model for us. Like, connect musicians with opportunities and may the best music win.
Awesome.
At the end of the day.
It's liberating because the great music rises to the top, like it's merit based. It's not, of course you're giving people a huge leg up using your experience and using your knowledge of this otherwise opaque industry. But once they have all that knowledge, once that playing field is level, it's the music that's going to speak for it,
That's it. And that's how it should be, right? So people don't say, oh, it's because of connections or no, it's not because of any of that. Like, brands are ruthless or agencies are ruthless at selecting music. It's got nothing to do with like connections.
Right.
It's all to do with like, what's hitting with this visual, with this campaign. And then like the rest is like your ability as a chef or a cook to like take what you think is great, but then the agency doesn't think it's so great and they need changes to be graceful through all those revisions. And that's like where true craftspeople get separated from amateur artisans. And that's like our first module in our masterclass, like basically preparing you to understand the difference between an amateur and an artisan, and the skills and the rituals and the habits and the mindsets that you got to develop in order to get there. Because like no amount of hacks, tools, tips on 808s or hi-hats, that's not what's going to like develop and secure your career.
Right, for sure.
Everyone can learn how to syncopate a hi-hat.
Yeah.
But it's like learning how to present yourself, how to build a reel, how to write an email. Even like I didn't think that's what we would be teaching. But when I see like some of the emails that musicians send me, I'm like, bro or sister, nobody is going to open your email. Just the optics of it. Yeah. Just the optics. I mean, when I see an essay, and I'm working on 3 campaigns right now that are due tomorrow, do you think I'm going to read an essay if it's not from one of my clients? No. So,
and that is true for every facet of this industry. I just want people to know that's my DMs too. Like if you send me an essay in my DMs, like I can't, like there's no way I'm going to read it. Like that's just not how communication works.
And sadly, a lot of musicians are so in their head and so in their world that when they send you a DM, it's really all about them.
Right, for sure, exactly.
And then
how can you serve me?
Yeah, how can and it's like no, you got to. How you got it backwards. Basically, your emails and your communication should be so short. I mean, I always compare it to like, I don't want to use this metaphor, but do you notice how the greatest spiritual leaders in history sometimes said something and then they walked away and it was like, maybe like some metaphor or like some obscure statement and like, people were following them like, what does he mean?
Right. And it evokes more question. It evokes more like
you're pulling in.
Exactly.
Right. So what I always say is your music should speak for you so you don't have to do the talking. So if I'm DMing you, I'm basically saying, hey man, I love your work. Maybe mention a specific piece of work. So this particular video, really resonated with me. And not only did it resonate, but this is what happened as a result of it. I'm sure now you're reading with more
Right.
interest, because we all love getting like practical examples of how our work is changing other people's
For
lives.
sure.
And then go, look, I know you're busy. So empathy,
Yeah, please
acknowledgement.
acknowledge
blah, blah, blah.
that it's 1
Please
p.m. in a
acknowledge,
sea of
right?
others. Yeah.
But I'm really here to like work my ass off to help you do what you are after, like your purpose, whatever, right? So then it's flipped, and I'm like, now I'm just open. I'm like, okay, I'm always willing to hear from people who are willing to help me.
Right.
And then boom, link. Not to 15 SoundCloud links, because again, you put me at a point of indecision. Which one should I listen to? And indecision stresses me out, and
then
I
I
have
just
deadlines.
move on.
I just move on.
Yeah.
One link to your site, picture. I want to see your eyes. I want to see your smile. I want to just 2 sentences about you, make me smile again. It's like a handshake, right?
Yep.
And then a link, one play button. The thing that you want me to hear, that in 5 seconds will grab my attention, for the next minute will keep my attention. And at the end of the minute, I'll be like, damn, like this is,
Right.
wow, you know? As you can see, I'm saying reasonable things. I'm not giving you some alchemical formula or some secret. You just have to engineer your interactions mindfully and intentionally. Where instead, a lot of you musicians, what you do is like you get excited to email someone, and then you write me your life story. Then you send me 15 SoundCloud links. Like, what do you think that's going to result in? As
Right.
much as I want to read your email, I don't have the means to do it. I got a music production company, I got an academy, and I got a family. And those three, you know, there's not much time left at the end of the day for anything else. So if you want to maximize your chances of getting a reply, we always talk about the 3 C's in our academy: clear, crisp, and compelling. Be very concrete about what you're asking. Make sure your message is focused on the other person. Okay. Make it crisp, like give it a bit of pepper, like make people realize that you're like somebody that I might want to be in the same room with.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in the same room with an ass kisser. On the other hand, the flip side of it is I don't want to be in the same room as someone really cocky. So some musicians are so confident about whatever. I don't know if it's like a false ego or like they're like...
I think it's just a swing in the other direction. You don't want to seem like the ass kisser. You want to seem like a confident professional, but it swings way too far to the left sometimes.
Yeah, like I get emails like, you know what? I can do this in my sleep. Trust me. Send me something, and I promise you we'll do great things.
It's a red
And I'm
flag.
just like, you don't want to be writing emails like that, because you're basically going up against people who don't write or talk like this.
Right, yeah.
And they're producing like world-class music that they would never comment about it themselves.
Exactly.
There's this humility, but at the same time, like, yeah, they deliver goosebumps, but they never have to say it. Like, everybody knows the music speaks for you. So, oh man, there's so much I could talk about. You know, we always laugh with our team mindset. Like, you know, when we're chatting to each other on WhatsApp, we're always like mindset. We're sending each other like Tony Robbins like cutouts, 3-second cutouts, where it's like, it's about mindset. You kind of laugh because everyone's using that word, but it's not far from the truth that it's not going to be your lack of understanding how to use 808 sub basses, but it's your lack of professional mindset, like being humble, but at the same time hardworking, saying, you know what, I don't know shit. Let me learn from a mentor. Let me like go against my best instincts and not write an autobiography in an email and not put everything in there that I want TAETRO to know. I want TAETRO to know that when I was 3, I was playing the flute.
Exactly.
Maybe TAETRO cares, maybe he doesn't, but like, honestly, the best way to resonate with TAETRO is to look at his channel,
just say something meaningful.
Familiar.
Anything
yeah,
meaningful.
and like if you ever catch TAETRO saying, this is what's important to me right now,
mental
put that
note.
in your
Yes,
communication.
that's what. Yeah, exactly. I think
and
people,
then go, which one of my assortments of skills can I use to maybe help him? Maybe it's music. Maybe it's not music. Like I always told, and I identify people within our academy, for instance, who want to be composers. And I'm like, actually, you'd be a better music producer than a composer. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I know you want to sit there and make music, but your communication skill is world class already.
Right.
You're able to like take a brief. You're able to communicate it to other people. And there are composers who are much better than you. So I'm just telling you from my vantage point, from my perspective, and I've been in the business for a while, get into the business on your superpowers.
Yep.
So that could be not even like composition, but sales. Why not? Like if you're able to develop rapport with people, connection, you have a tattoo, you look like a creative person. Maybe your first opportunity in our business is going to be, hey, develop more business for a music production company. That's how you get in. And if you indeed happen to be a composer that is meant to be a composer, you're world class, the distance is now very short.
Exactly.
Because you'll be like, hey, by the way, I'm a composer. And you'll be like, yeah, whatever, man. Go set up some more meetings. I'm like, no, seriously, check this out. And you show me something. And I'm like, holy shit, crazy.
But you're already in the room at that point because you're in the room. Yeah, it's the proximity. It's proximity to what you want to do.
Yeah, always take your next step by using the weight of your experience, your credentials, whatever it is you have that is transferable potentially into the music business. If you're an IT guy, you could offer, music production companies to like set up their whole infrastructure. I'm just saying, just to get in the room, then whatever will happen later.
It's huge advice.
If reality, yeah. So this is a big thing for me, and I use myself as an example. I'm a decent music maker, yeah, but I'm a much better communicator and connector and big picture guy. Right. So I'm a much better music producer. I don't want to put myself against a 22-year-old guy who's producing electronic music and he's from Amsterdam and he lives it, eats it, breathes it. Like, I'm not going to compete with that guy. What I'm very good at is building the rapport, getting the doors open and getting the big projects, and then knowing who do I handpick for each and every project and what advice do I give them when they get stuck in creating this music.
Yeah. It's so much knowledge dropping here today, folks. And I know people in the chat are getting really excited because you are dropping that knowledge and that realness. And I really appreciate that. So thank you. And we only have a few more minutes. So I want to maybe run through a couple things really quick. First of all, like the mindset thing resonates super well because, it's just a dead giveaway when somebody has this sort of like amateur mindset. And it's evident through the things that they say and the questions that they ask. Like I get the question all the time, oh, is it cheating if I do this? If it's cheating, if like nobody at the professional level is like asking, like, is this cheating? Is it whatever? So it's like a dead giveaway. And I think what you said,
or
like
when you use words like what's the quickest or like what's
fastest.
The fastest, it shows me that you're not committed to the pain and the struggle that must be inherently a part of this story. You don't get to be a musician, a full-time musician ever. Not in 2021, not in 1951. You don't get to be a full-time musician without pain, struggle, sacrifice, and a lot of hardship. Now, it's not just hardship and tears and blood and sweat. It's the kind of pain that actually results in a kind of satisfaction that you cannot get from a quick win.
Right. Exactly.
It's a different kind of joy. It's a different kind of peace with yourself. And ultimately, I believe, and I always look at my life this way. If I get hit by a car tomorrow, I wouldn't even care if I failed in this business because I know the pain of like trying to shortcut the thing that was most important to me. Like, think about that. You're trying to find shortcuts to the things that are most important to you. That's not how life works, man.
Exactly.
You're trying to shortcut your family too. You're trying to find like easy and convenient ways to be a dad or to be a good brother, sister, or a friend. Sorry, guys. Like, honestly, another thing I want to share is like the root meaning of the word passion, passio in Latin. Apparently, you guys have to Google this, but I'm going to stick with this story, is suffering. So passio actually means suffering. So, yeah, you don't get to be a full-time musician without suffering, without commitment, without hard work. But I can promise you that it pays back.
For sure.
It pays back. Even if your success is not immediate, if you have that mindset, it is inevitable. It is inevitable.
I can
And
speak to
even,
that firsthand. Like I see fruits of connections made 4 years ago coming today, and now making an impact, meaningful impact on my life financially, helping me make a living. Like things that I would never trace back and say, oh, because I took this, like answered this email 4 years later, I'll get this check. You know, like it's so crazy. You just have to trust that that is how it works.
let me drop another perspective, like another thing. We always say in our academy, don't focus on projects, focus on people. If you're emailing everybody, putting pressure on yourself that you're trying to get a project from this person, it's a shortcut, it's a wrong attitude, and you're going to fail because I'm going to smell it, and other industry people are going to smell it. We don't know each other. You don't walk up to a girl or a guy in a bar and say, let's cut right to the chase.
Yeah, come back up to my room.
Oh,
Yeah.
come back to my. In what universe is that sure, you might get lucky 1% of the time, but professionals don't operate their career on luck. So the thing is, you wouldn't communicate this way in real life. So a lot of musicians hate what they call selling. I don't like reaching out to people. I just want to make music. Well, if you really want to make a living with music, you're going to have to communicate with people. And here's one piece of advice that's going to make it easier for you. Forget about projects. Forget about projects altogether when you're contacting people. Your only goal on the first contact, and this will take all the pressure off of you, is only to get a reply, just as if you were asking someone for a coffee.
Right. Just be the person somebody wants to actually talk to.
First step, that's all it is, man. Like you said, that's the first step. If they open the conversation, that's when you tell them. And then steps 5, 6, or 7, maybe step 19 is telling them that you played flute at the age of 3. And guess what? When you tell them you played the flute at the age of 3 and you've already had 50 conversations, that's when you get the desired response.
Right.
Which is like, really, Nick? You flute at the, but if it's the first thing you do, like, give me a project. Here is my life story. You're just not going to get traction. So take pressure off yourself. You're not there to get projects. You're there to make new friends in the business.
Totally. Man, this is such a great, we could go on for hours and hours for sure. Nefertiti Gold in the chat summed it up. I didn't realize I'd be in church today because the sermon is hitting for sure.
Amen, sister.
That is so
Thank
true.
you for being here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you having me, first of all. I've always known, like when we spoke behind the scenes, that, we're on the same frequency. So basically, we're trying to do everything on a world-class level. We're trying to actually help people and not just go for the quick buck.
Exactly.
And shout out to Ed Talenti also. Yeah. We're also cooking up some stuff together. But big thank you to everyone who was here, guys. Honestly, already that separates you from a mass of other people who are totally distracted, who couldn't handle a 1-hour conversation. I mean, if you can't handle focusing on things like that, I don't put money on you or your career.
For sure. And to put that perspective, everybody who's here and taking in this conversation, folks, like I have 150,000 subscribers. There are not 150,000 people here watching. And let's say even 50% of those just logistically couldn't go, time of day, they're at work or something. But the 50%, like half of 150 aren't here. So you're already taking the time to really push yourself forward and learn something from people who are actually doing it. I think that is the thing.
That is the thing.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with like you're already separating yourself by taking part in these, because like I said at the top in the intro, I've had people that like I look up to, other content creators, people in the industry, having conversations, and the stuff that you talked about, Tommy, about like really listening, and if you do want to make a connection, paying attention and bringing something up with somebody that actually interests them, not just like a gimme. The way you find that information is through talks like these. The way you get that insider info is like paying attention to talks like these that are just happening. They're happening all the time, and the more you can be a part of them, the more the closer and closer and closer, right? That proximity to where you want to be. That's how you get there.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I enjoy, sharing this as much as, I mean, I enjoy sharing this knowledge more than I enjoy actually being in the kitchen. And that's why I'm trying to find now talented people who have the fire, who are younger than me, who I can put in the kitchen, basically. It's like, I may not enjoy doing a Nike commercial anymore, but to them, it's everything. Like, you know what I mean? To them, it's everything. So I'm like, well, this is how I keep the business running, basically. I put these guys in the kitchen. They love it. They learn, guys and girls, because we have a lot of talented girls in our community. And I'm just here to mentor, and I feel like this follows a kind of a reasonable, logical journey of my life, which is like, I'm not going to be the hip, 55-year-old 10 years from now, trying to win against the 25-year-olds. No, I want to gather a bunch of young, not just young. I don't care what age you are. Honestly, we have people like
the next generation, whoever that may be.
It doesn't matter. It's like just high quality people, craftspeople. I want to surround myself with those people and go, hey, here's how you do things. Go do it. And if you have trouble, let me know, and we'll help you out. So
perfect.
So yeah, man. Let's create more professional musicians. Let's create more beautiful music, and let's move some human beings, man.
Exactly. The world's a better place with more successful artists. That's my thing. It's like the more people we can put in a place to be successful in art, in music, the better the world is in general.
And let me tell you something. Don't have this victim mentality about how Spotify is ripping you off, how music business is ripping you off, how government's ripping you, how everybody's ripping you off, and you're a poor artist and art doesn't make money. You know that the best artists in the history of art, they were not naive, kind of victim type folks.
Right.
You talk about like David Bowie, Miles Davis, Ray Charles. Ray Charles was on a Pepsi and a Coke campaign. That man was taking it wherever it came from. And he didn't destroy the magic of his brand.
Right.
He didn't destroy the magic of his art. The responsibility is all yours, 100% yours. There are no excuses. You want to be a successful artist who's creating art that many people are seeing and at the same time making good money. Nobody's going to ride up on a white horse and hand it to you on a plate. You have to go educate yourself. You have to make a decision, a commitment. You're not going to be a starving artist. You don't have to be. There are people who have achieved success. You just have to like follow in their footsteps, but make it your own.
Absolutely.
Like do it with your own voice. And that's probably like the most important mindset part, which is like, if you catch yourself complaining that Spotify royalties suck or YouTube sucks or this sucks or that sucks, go, what good is that?
Yeah.
What good are the words
That's
coming
amateur
out of my
mindset.
mouth?
That's once again,
what
amateur
am I gonna
mindset.
do about it?
Yep.
What am I going to do about it? It's not just circumstances happening to you. You got to happen to the circumstances. So I don't know how else to put it, but I know some of you listening are going to take this to heart and do cheesy shit. I don't care. Look at yourself in front of a mirror every morning and say, I am not going to complain about circumstances. I am not going to leave my destiny, my fate in the hands of Spotify, YouTube, whatever. Like, have all those things working for you, but be brutally honest about the reality of the landscape. Be really real. Like, don't think, oh, I'm going to, pay my bills with Spotify royalties. That's probably not going to be the case for you.
Exactly.
Unless you're like Ed Sheeran or something.
Right.
But you could probably develop a few revenue streams, focus on some of them. Creating music for brands is one of them. It's a very specific world. And like I said, there's a bunch of people you've never heard of that are your neighbors, Nick. They're living in a house in LA, driving a Prius.
Yep.
And I'm speaking facts. I'm not even making stuff up or creating metaphors. And one of these people is like a full-time composer. All he does is create music for brands, lives in LA, supports his family. And we invited people like this into our academy because they serve as a model. So that okay, this is possible. Like somebody's doing it. It's not like,
it's achievable. Somebody can do it. Somebody has done it.
Yeah. if somebody has done it and you believe you fit a similar profile, then you can probably do it too, you know. But it all depends on who you are, and you have to be true to your superpower, and you have to discover what your superpower is. You have to be brutally honest about it. That's one of the things we also teach, like how do you identify your superpower? Because a lot of musicians lie to themselves, you know. You just don't have the perspective. So if you're willing to take a splash of cold water on your face from a pro to say you need to improve in this and this area, and you don't have an ego about it, I definitely put money on your success. Like, I don't know. I've been in the studio with some famous people, and it's always the same thing that amazes me about them. It's a humility. Yep. Like when it's outward facing, when they're doing their TikTok or their Instagram or whatever, when they're on stage, they're supposed to have
confidence,
this insane, I'm never going to die confidence when they look into the camera. But the fact is, in the studio, they hang their head low. They're looking at the ground. They're thinking. They're questioning. They're asking all the people in the room, what do you think about this? What should I do here? You know, and this is why it's so important to surround yourself with a good team of people, because that's where you can be vulnerable.
Totally.
This is why communities like yours are very important, because that's where you get the safe space to go, before I go out in this cold, harsh world, what do you guys think about my reel? What do you guys think about my website? Get it torn the hell apart. Build it back together, and then go out in the world and have people cheering for you. Immensely, immensely important to have community. And to share. If you're flying solo, you're not going to take off, man. That's the best way I can put it.
On that note, Tommy Zee, websites.
Did I talk too much, brother? I'm sorry.
No, that's what this is for. I know the show is called TAETRO Talks, but it's really for the guests to talk. And you just dropped so much knowledge. It's so great, and everybody's really stoked about the academy. I think you're going to get a few people definitely checking it out. Some people are interested. I know some people are asking for like a wrap up summary, whatever. But guess what? This interview is going to live on. You can go watch it back from the beginning. It's not just going to go away after the stream is over. So check out Tommy's websites. They're in the description, both to Tommy's website and pinned to the top of the chat right now is the site makingmusicforbrands.com. So either of those you can go check out if you want to learn more. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Tommy's absolutely a master at that 360 thing of hooking you up with getting you on a career pathway. If you feel like I am not ready for that, like my production is probably not there, I got some foundational skills to build, go check out 343labs.com, because there's courses, mixing, mastering. You want to build up those solid foundations and actually getting your music ready in quality before you go make that first impression with a music producer or any kind of ad agency. You want to get that solid foundation down. Don't blow your first impression. So go build those foundations with 343 Labs, 343labs.com if you want to take a course on that. If you're not ready for the career stuff, if you think you're ready to take the plunge, Tommy's sites are all linked in the description, linked at the top of the chat. Tommy, thank you so much for an amazing interview. So much value.
Thank you for having me, my brother, and shout out to all the brothers and sisters in the chat who joined this call. I love you all, even though I don't know you, but hey, we're all human beings. We want to be moved. And I'm glad I could spend some time with you, and hopefully it helped just a little bit.
Exactly. I think we helped a lot of people today. Anyway, that's going to be it. TAETRO Talks will be live again next Tuesday. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been TAETRO and Tommy Zee. Have a good one.
Later.